Hey y'all, welcome to Jonesin for the Dub for episode 2, episode 2, yes I speak Spanish, of our sophomore season. I know that's right, welcome back, thank you for tuning in. For this episode, we want to get into some real issues with W, talk about some things that are going on. So let's talk about the gender issue of the WNBA, specifically NBA versus WNBA, the marketability, things like that. Let's get into it, honey. So first of all, the first issue when people talk about comparing the WNBA to the NBA, in my opinion, is individual, aka me ball, aka superstar ball that you see with the NBA versus the family, the play, the team ball. Also the fans. Everybody's part of the W family when it comes to WNBA. And I see this as problematic. The reason that we're seeing the numbers of the NBA decline versus the WNBA rise is because it really is about the actual sport. Basketball is not about one person. And the NBA, all you hear about is, oh, but LeBron, but Kobe, may you rest in peace. I love you, Kobe. Steph Curry, Giannis, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown from the Celtics. We can keep going on and on. It's never about this team is here. Instead, it's just about the individuals. For example, in their 2024 playoff promo, all we talking about was superstars in the making. It's cool that you got LeBron dapping up Kobe, LeBron dapping up past LeBron, Steph dapping up whoever the hell he was dapping up. That's cool. But where's the team? Where's everybody? It wasn't just LeBron who won those championships. Why is it just focused on the individual? When you talk about the WNBA 2024 promotional video for the playoffs last year, they had coaches moments, they had players interviews, they had team shots, they had shots with the fans. Everybody was involved, so everybody was excited for the playoffs. I would much rather watch the WNBA game where I feel a part of it than being like, oh, let me make LeBron another million that he doesn't need. No shade, LeBron, I love you. But it's obviously a problem. So the marketability just isn't right when it comes to that. And if you want to market a team sport and to continue to have it rise, you got to market like WNBA. I'm just saying. We have some more to talk about. So actually, I'm going to invite our team member Parker up to the stand to talk about their point of view on this.
The WNBA has seen a huge increase in viewership recently and a huge increase in the share of audience attention, nearly tripling over the past 5 years the amount of people who would spend time specifically trying to follow the sport. That's really exciting for women's sports, considering that their share of market is $1.3 billion with a B. That's 40% of all professional women's sports. Actually, a little bit higher than that. We're seeing fans finally connecting to the WNBA through these team interactions. And something that the WNBA does really well is they are meeting players where they are. Because traditional channels are not going to work for the same type of audience. You are reaching them not necessarily through television broadcast and through ESPN, but you're also now seeing a huge rise in social media attention. Something the W does really well is the players are leading a movement of player-generated content, bringing their own personal brand identities onto the screens of people, and it's giving more opportunities for team love, brand love, player love, and that's helping sponsorship numbers go up. It's helping fans find their teams. Like me, I'm living on the East Coast and I'm a Seattle Storm fan through and through, and I will stay loyal to that team. Also, fun fact, brands are finding that when they support one team really strong, they are showing out for that brand. One thing to note, as Maya mentioned previously, while the NBA is seeing a slight decline in viewership, the WNBA is going significantly up. They have almost a 20% increase on views, specifically on TikTok, for all of the franchise media that they're running right now, and it's only expected to grow, especially when you see new teams like the Golden State Valkyries. They're putting up 18,000 tickets, sold out arenas in their inaugural season. It just makes us really excited for what's coming.
Now let's talk about the college side of things, because frankly, the women's college game is making their players so much more likable than the men's are. And I think it's for a couple reasons. The biggest is NIL deals. These last 4 years have been huge. We're seeing millions and millions and millions of dollars going into men's and women's sports. The lion's share is going into men's sports, just across the board. But that is changing. The women are catching up in the biggest sport, and that is women's basketball. While on the men's side, it's mostly dominated by football, which is also a 4-year sport. Biggest thing here is that men's college basketball, they're one and done. They've reached their 18 years, they're eligible, they do 1 year of college, maybe they do well in the tournament, maybe they don't, and they're out. There's no longer that focus on doing well, getting a national championship, reaching the Final Four, because they're focused on that paycheck. And really, I don't blame them. Cooper Flagg is making $13 million next year. He was estimated to make about $4 million his first year in college. And that's about what Paige Bueckers made across 5 years. And when you look at the type of deals that these athletes are getting, it makes a lot of sense. Paige Bueckers had over 25 NIL deals. All of them are smaller than Cooper Flagg's, of course, but they're longer term. Her and Caitlin Clark have been focused on these very relationship-based focuses rather than quick hits, commercials, Times Square, billboards. Both of them started off with Nike, and they're going from there to shoes. Caitlin already has her shoe deal inked, while Paige had a shoe released in college, the first athlete ever to have a player's edition released while they were still in college. The fact that athletes are staying in college for more than just 4 years means that they're also competing against each other for longer periods of time, building rivalries that go beyond just the sport. They bleed into social media, and they keep eyes coming back to tournaments year after year. We see this in the SEC tournament, which has had incredibly high viewership the last couple of years. Back, rest in peace, the Pac-12. Their last year, they had a 400% year-over-year increase in viewership. And we're also seeing it in the Final Four. Of course, Caitlin Clark's final run in the Final Four was huge for viewership. It broke records just across the board. I believe it was 19 million views for that final game. But also the Final Four game right before it against UConn broke those records that lasted only 40 hours because of the relationship that she had built against Paige Bueckers. Back in 2021, in the bubble, they matched up in the Sweet 16, and that was huge. UConn came away with the win. Back then, Paige was the star. And since that happened, Paige got injured. Caitlin became a household name, and as a result, their game got millions and millions and millions of eyes. Weeks of coverage leading up to it because everyone knew they were destined to meet at that stage. That doesn't happen anymore in the men's game. That hasn't happened in years. When's the last time you were excited about a men's tournament because you thought, oh wow, they were at it last year? It hasn't. UConn won 2 in a row. That was huge, but what were the returning players? I don't know. I just remember Dan Hurley. And that's the big difference that we're seeing. We're not remembering these names. But I can remember dozens of women's stars who had great moments in the Final Four. It's also the fact that all of these players are in college that really resonates with so many people. Millions of Americans go to college. They go to God knows where, middle of nowhere. I grew up in Storrs, Connecticut. There's nothing there. So seeing someone like Paige, someone like Aaliyah Edwards, spending 4 years in the middle of nowhere in rural who knows where, that's relatable. And we're not seeing the same thing with the men's. Because again, they're one and done. The women's team, they're hanging out around town, they're having their own little parties. They have those moments where you can connect with them. And that's really showing off in their social media following. According to a leading NIL marketplace, the women's following is so much bigger than the men's because of their curation. It's 3 times higher among leading stars on the women's side than the men's side. And it's far more diverse. The women's side gets almost a 50-50 split of male and female viewership, while the men's side is 80-20 men. So when we're looking at the women's side, that's 750% more women watching their content. And that's translating into deals. And it's also translating into content. Not only are they putting out their own content, fans are making edits of hours and hours and hours of content reaching millions of viewers to the point where it takes over people's algorithms and they start to see more women's basketball content. They're not just seeing their favorite player. They're not just seeing Angel Reese. Suddenly, they're seeing Sue Bird. They're seeing Diana Taurasi. They're seeing Cheryl Miller. And they're watching these old games and they're starting to connect with these teams, connect with the league, and that's leading to a lot more engagement. So I think they're just more likable. They're more relatable. And everything about the game is better.
So as you just heard, the women do not need to compete with the men. They don't need to be like the men because they're in a league of their own. Okay, shout out to the girls. Okay, but thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2 of Jonesin for the Dub in our sophomore season. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and make sure to follow us on TikTok, on Instagram, as well as here on YouTube at Jonesin for the Dub. Ciao, y'all.